Take a look at what the Trump campaign is doing leading up to the first debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. This reeks of desperation and certainly is backfiring. Donald Trump's campaign posts Kamala Harris out for a walk with, quote, Doug, end quote, says she's ready for Tuesday's debate. Her handlers have been downplaying expectations. Amid reports she's terrified after her last-minute attempt to change the rules failed. Yep, there you have it. Donald Trump's campaign is attacking the marriage of Vice President Kamala Harris to her husband, Douglas Emhoff, and then they put Doug in quotes. Let me just show you the video clip that the Trump campaign is posting of Vice President Kamala Harris. Here, play this clip.
Madam Vice President, how will you handle it on the debate stage if Trump decides to launch a personal attack?
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Ready.
By the way, what a ridiculous question that the press asks. What are you going to do if Donald Trump personally attacks you? Are you ready? The media asks the worst questions. What are you going to do if Donald Trump says what? That you're not really black because you're Indian, because she's biracial, and Donald Trump wants to be racist and misogynistic? What are you going to do? How are you going to handle that? I don't know. I think the prosecutor is going to know how to handle the predator here. As Bradley Moss writes, please do continue, Trump campaign, to highlight the contrast in the marriages between the different candidates. And by the way, you know who else brought that up as well? J.D. Vance in the recent interview that he gave with CNN's Dana Bash, when he was asked about, the allegations that you're a weirdo, what's your response? And then he goes, well, I think that Governor Walz's relationship with his wife is weird. They shook hands, very weird stuff. This is what J.D. Vance has to say. Play this clip.
There's something weird with that guy. He's a weird guy. J.D. is not weird. He's a solid rock. I happen to be a very solid rock. We're not weird. We're other things perhaps, but we're not weird. But he is a weird guy. He walks on the stage. There's something wrong with that guy. And he called me weird. And then the fake news media picks it up. That was the word of the day. Weird, weird, weird. They're all going, but we're not weird guys. We're very solid people that want our country to be great again. I mean, it's very...
Seriously, JD, your running mate Donald Trump was like very close friends with Jeffrey Epstein. You and Donald Trump are currently flying around in the same jet that Epstein used to traffic girls, except you wrapped it with Trump 2024. Donald Trump said Epstein is a great guy who likes women on the younger side, although Trump meant girls. Donald Trump wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. Donald Trump had sex with a porn star while his wife Melania had just given birth to Barron. And Donald Trump had also cheated on a Playboy playmate with the porn star while Melania was pregnant. Donald Trump's first wife is buried in the back lot of Bedminster in the swamp area. Donald Trump's first wife had accused Donald Trump of sexually assaulting her. She later retracted it and said she didn't mean a literal rape when she said that that's what took place in a deposition. Donald Trump has kids with 3 different women. This is what we really want to talk about. Donald Trump met Melania at the Kit Kat Club when she was brought over by a Eastern European modeling agency that introduced young Eastern European women to wealthy Manhattan businessmen at the Kit Kat Club. I could keep on going on here, but let's talk about the contrast, shall we? Since Trump campaign, you're bringing it up, right? On the one hand, we have the prosecutor in Vice President Kamala Harris, and here's what we expect her to say at the debate. Play the clip.
So as Leah told you, before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, the predator, who held an entire press conference on Friday where he on his own brought up the fact that all of these different women have accused him of sexual assault. And then he said, well, I couldn't have sexually assaulted this one, he said, because she's not the chosen one. I wouldn't have sexually assaulted this one because of this. Then he went through all the women who have accused him of sexual assault. That's what Donald Trump was spending his time doing. Like, here's what he was saying about E. Jean Carroll. Here, play this clip.
Because it was a setup, a rigged deal. They had two witnesses. And before I start, I have no idea who this woman is. They have a picture from, they say, about 40 years ago, a picture. And the picture depicts her and her husband on a celebrity line where I was the celebrity. I was been a celebrity for a long time. And they were shaking my hands along with hundreds of other people. Nobody even knows where it is. The problem is she doesn't know the date of this incident. She doesn't know when. She doesn't know, was it in the 90s? Could it have been further than that? She has no idea when. And people do that because you don't want to give a specific date and then you find out that Trump or whoever it was in Europe. So they tend to do that. They take long periods so that this way, hopefully he was in New York at that time. But this is a disgraceful case, and disgraceful in particular because it's about a former president of the United States who is now leading in the polls to be the president again.
And since we want to talk about contrast, on the one hand, we have Vice President Kamala Harris talking about the true testament of leadership and strength is who you lift up. Play this clip.
But I'll tell you, I think that there has been a certain backward-thinking approach over the last several years, which is to suggest, some folks, to suggest that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of what we know, the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. The strength of a leader. Let's stop with the nonsense.
And on the other hand, you had Donald Trump speaking over the weekend talking about Hannibal Lecter. Play this clip.
And then the press, when I say Dr. Hannibal Lecter, the press says, oh, why did he mention that? They're wise guys back there, just wise guys. They say he rambled and started talking about Hannibal Lecter. What does that have to do? That's a representative of people that are coming into our country. Dr. Hannibal Lecter, he will have you for dinner. You know that? He will have you for dinner.
And we could talk about contrast since the Trump campaign wants to bring that up. On the one hand, you have Vice President Kamala Harris, who talks about making sure the American dream is alive for all Americans. And we need to always understand what's possible, looking forward to the future, and not be unburdened. Or to be unburdened by what has been. Here, play this clip.
Because, of course, that's the nature of who we are as Americans. We have dreams. We can see what is possible unburdened by what has been. We have aspirations. We have ambitions. And the system that is a good system is one that supports that and allows people the opportunity to go where they can see and imagine themselves to be. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about an opportunity economy. We fight for a future where every senior can retire with dignity. And so we will continue to defend Social Security and Medicare and pensions.
And then on the other hand, you had Donald Trump over the weekend saying the following.
And he's a whack job. You know, they have a standard phrase that JD, who's very solid, and I happen to be very solid. I have other problems, perhaps, but I'm a very solid person. But JD's solid, I'm solid. They said this was just a soundbite. They gave it to all the fake news. The fake news, they're weird. No, he's weird. He is really weird. This guy. Can you imagine? I'm weird. It's just, you know, they do sound bites, and they gave one the other day, manufactured, the vote was manufactured. It's not a term that's used politically. Every network headed up something about the vote was manufactured. They follow the lead of these people, but we've got the lead. You know what? We've got.
And if we want to talk about contrast, while Donald Trump was doing that, Vice President Kamala Harris launched her policy page ahead of the debate. Good stuff, from her housing plan to affordable child care and lowering energy costs. Take a look at this. And now, as Mike Nellis says, can't wait for the media to move the goalpost once again for the Harris campaign. These are very detailed, very specific plans laying out to improve the economy and healthcare and tackle climate change, help veterans, protect Social Security, protect women's reproductive rights. Very detailed, specific plans, how it's going to be paid for, like, you know, what candidates are supposed to do. And look, I don't think you need to agree with everything here, but these are plans, these are policies. This is coherent planning, not whatever the heck you heard Donald Trump talk about. And what is Donald Trump and MAGA's plan? Well, the only written plan they had was Project 2025, when they put their plan in writing and Americans said how unpopular it was, this authoritarian takeover. Now Donald Trump wants to deny, I don't know what Project 2025 was. So all they have, even though he basically is the head of Project 2025, so all they have right now is whatever Donald Trump says. Donald Trump says that's our plan. Donald Trump posts about Hulk Hogan over the weekend. Sure. Donald Trump makes posts saying, "Happy birthday, Mary." Sure, that's what we're for. Donald Trump says that January 6th was an inside job. Sure. That's whatever the deranged conspiracies are, if he says it, that's what goes. Now, I want to leave you all with this, and we'll show you, again, another contrast right here. So on the one hand, you have Donald Trump going into a high school, saying he doesn't like golden showers, getting peed on by hookers. That's what Donald Trump's giving a speech in a high school about in the past few months. Yeah, corporate media won't talk about it. I'm going to show you the clip. Then I'm going to show you Vice President Kamala Harris and Doug, as they would say. Here, play this clip.
He was with 4 hookers. You think that was good that night to go up and tell my wife, "It's not true, darling. I love you very much"? It's not true. Actually, that one she didn't believe, because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, you know? He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them. He's not. I don't like that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big problem. I was going to have a rough night, but that one she was very good on. She said, no.
Now, here's Vice President Kamala Harris and the second gentleman, hopefully soon to be the first gentleman, Douglas Emhoff. Play this clip.
We did go on that first date. Love at first sight. We were literally talking about our future by the end of that first date. And that next morning, I'm sending her an email. Here are my availabilities for the next 6 months. And 10 years later, here we are.
Thank you for bringing up the Contrast Trump campaign. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers together. Thank you.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.